Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of TBP's The Best Podcast series. My name is Tony, and today I have with me some very special guests. They are the current, the past, and the future presidents of TBP, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves right now. So start with you, Zach. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Zach Goldston. I am a senior studying computer science with a minor in mathematics. I'll be actually graduating at the end of April this month, and then starting my master's degree in computer science through the SUGS program. Be here for a year and a half. But prior to becoming president, I elected TBP in winter of 2021, so April 2021 was my initiation date. From there, I was the secretary of the chapter for about a year, then represented as the president during the fall of 2022, and then now I'm currently an advisor.
Now we're going to have Riley introduce himself.
Thank you, Tony. I'm Riley Garlauskas. I'm the current president of the Michigan Gamma chapter of TBP. I'm a junior, in chemical engineering, graduating December 2023, so one more semester to go in undergrad. I'll be sticking around, though, for another year of SUGS. Like Zach, I'm a minor in mathematics. We actually met, funny enough, in a math class, of all places.
Oh, really?
Despite being engineers, we were in a math class first together. So kind of a cool origin story there. So, yep, I've been president of TBP. I initiated in fall 21, though. Since then, I've been a career fair director as external vice president, honors branch student coordinator, career fair chair coming up soon, and among other things within TBP.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Exciting. A career fair is always an exciting time during the start of the fall semesters.
Absolutely.
All right, and Ansh, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ansh Patel. I'm a senior studying industrial and operations engineering. I elected to Tau Beta Pi back in fall 21 with Riley. We were in opposing electee teams, so that was always a fun time. And since then, I've been professional development officer for the past year, and I'm now the president-elect, so I will be president of Tau Beta Pi in fall of 2023.
All right, great. I suppose I should talk more about myself too. So again, my name is Tony. I am a third-year chemical engineering student at UMich, and I elected to TBP last semester during the fall 2022. And now I'm currently an active member as of winter 2023, and I just recently was elected the historian for the next semester. I'm going to have Riley actually explain about what TBP is more in detail.
Yeah, so TBP stands for Tau Beta Pi. It is the largest engineering honor society in the nation, one of the nation's top honor societies overall, and it's actually pretty unique. It's the only honor society that unites really all of the majors and disciplines within the engineering profession. So it spans all of that. We have hundreds of chapters around the country. The Michigan Gamma chapter is the most active chapter in the nation, with around 150 events run every single year. So the idea of TPP is to promote excellence and integrity in engineering, and really support and promote those values through social, service, and professional development events.
All right. Yep, and I'd say, in my opinion, one of the best parts about TBP is the people. It's one of the most important things for me, at least, and again, we're not a frat, in an organization, is the people there. So, like, I elected last semester, but I really wouldn't have stayed if I didn't enjoy the people in the org and all the friends that I've made. So, the community is definitely one of the most important things in TBP. And I think it brings together a lot of like-minded people to think together and have fun together. So, yeah. Did you two want to add anything on, Zach?
Yeah, I think you hit it. You hit the nail. I forgot what the saying is, but you get my point.
No, the nail in the coffin.
In the coffin.
Maybe not that one.
I don't know why I thought about hammer, but yeah, I mean, everything you said is right. Honestly, the people are what make this organization so special. I will be honest, I wouldn't have become an officer if it wasn't for Riley and Colin kind of just nominating me and forcing me up there to give a speech that I had not prepared. So, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't have been an officer without that, and honestly wouldn't have gotten as involved in TVP as I am. So you're absolutely right. The people in this org are definitely what make it so special.
Yeah, and sort of to add to that, what makes us unique is, most people when they join a club or organization within engineering, it's pretty centralized to their major or maybe a couple different majors. Especially in CS, there's a lot of things like Michigan Hackers or other clubs where it's just purely CS, CE, electrical engineering, you name it. There's project teams which are more mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering focused. there's all sorts of organizations, but TBP is pretty unique in that it encompasses all engineering disciplines at the undergrad and even graduate level. I remember when I was electing with my team in Winter 21, pretty much I was, I think, maybe the only CS person on my electee team. Maybe there were two others. I think everyone was literally a different major. There was an aero person, an EE guy. My team lead, who was the president of going to be the incoming president for Fall 21, Kate Giamavo, is a mechanical engineer. Pretty sure there was another chemical engineer. So
Wait, how is there only one CS person?
well, I was within my electee team.
Oh.
Yeah, there were other electees with CS as well. But I was the only one, I think, on my team that was CS. And having that sort of community and Kate pushing me to run because I wanted to. I first heard about how TBP kind of handled at a very high level at a professional development event, and I'm like, maybe there's actual ways to fix this so that we can improve ourselves and be more sustainable for the future. And so that's kind of why I joined, because somebody kind of, as Riley and Ansh had described, you kind of get voluntold to do something.
Famously, my origin story as an officer is I was told to apply for a position that was closing that night at 11:59. I got that text at 10:30 p.m. Put in the application, thought, what can go wrong? And when I opened my eyes, I was president. So,
wow, all right.
and all can escalate very quickly, and it goes by unbelievably quickly. But the friends really pull you through. I recently had a survey of all of our active members who wanted to respond in TBP, and actually more people said that they stuck around because of the friends than who said the free food. That was kind of incredible. I thought free food would by far be the number one response on that question, but more people actually said the friendships that they formed throughout with this incredible group of people kept them around. Even compared to giving them dinner on Tuesday nights.
Yes,
so.
you come for the free food, you stay for the friends. That's what
Absolutely.
what it is. All right. So I guess I will move on and talk about exactly what this podcast, what the podcast is about. So, like I said, I've been newly elected the historian for the winter. Yeah, winter. Okay, I can count. Fall. I can. Okay, I know my seasons. Fall 2023 semester, and the historian's job is to basically create and share any of the chapter's publications, and normally that's just like the cornerstone newsletter that's given out in every single meeting. But and I don't believe anyone has ever done this in TVP. Yeah, so I wanted to start this podcast basically as a way to allow students here at UMich, specifically engineering students, to share any stories that they have. So basically give a voice to people who feel like they don't have a platform to do so. And so today I want this pilot to be for you three to share your story, basically. Because I know in just such a large engineering school like UMich, it's really easy to just feel like you're like a statistic, like you're just one person, a huge bunch of people, and so what am I doing now, right? So this is a way for someone to talk about where they came from, talk about why they're here, and talk about their experiences here, essentially. So that is the mission of this podcast. All right, and so let's get into it then. So I think we're gonna go clockwise around the table, so Zach, Riley, and just to avoid confusion with all that. Obviously, we can talk over each other if we want. This is the point of the discussion, right? So, very first question. So, why did you guys choose engineering as your major, or specifically why you chose your specific major, too? So,
well, I guess if for engineering in general, my grandparents, my dad's side, were both doctors, so they were pretty heavily involved in STEM. Whenever they would watch me or I'd visit them for a weekend, I get to play around with some of their stuff. So I got to play around with their stethoscope, got to play around with their microscope, got to look at bacteria cultures, read medical diagrams and textbooks as an 8-year-old that are usually meant for medical students. But even if I wasn't understanding, 99% of it, it was pretty entertaining to, it was definitely fun doing that. And later kind of developed this aptitude just for mathematics in general. Started doing competitions for mathematics starting in about elementary school. Started learning more about theory. True story, I actually started teaching myself calculus at about 6th grade.
Wow.
Which because my parents thought it was weird that I was asking for a calculus textbook when I was 12. They obliged, and I went with that instead of kind of just reading that outside of school. And then as for like CS in general, I started doing robotic stuff starting in middle school when a few years after I moved to the current town I'm from. And from there, sort of got to know sort of this unique culture, at least at my high school and middle school, where there were a lot of people that are interested in engineering and people on the robotics team. And so I had a couple of great mentors growing up and friends around me who were helpful in teaching me kind of how to get started with programming, sort of teaching like the fundamentals, sort of like teaching what are good design practices, and went from there. And it wasn't until like the end of high school when I realized, I actually really like this. I actually like building unique stuff, to make small applications, whether it be, stuff to build like flashcard applications, or I was doing like object-oriented design for robotics. All of it was really entertaining, and so I kind of just decided to go with CS, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
All right. So you started off with bio stuff and ended up in CS.
Yes.
Yeah. No, so I always say that every engineer, whoever and wherever they are, has a bio phase.
No, it's a bio or chem phase.
Yeah.
For me, it was a little bit of both, because I also had their chemistry stat that they gave to me, so it was like all kinds of like files, test tubes, stuff like that. So, don't worry, nothing dangerous. Like I wasn't like messing with like any arsenic or anything. But
Where's the fun in that? Come on.
but yeah, I guess
That's cool. Yeah. All right.
Well, Tony, I have to
Really?
reaffirm your hypothesis here, because I absolutely had not only the bio phase, but a whole passion kind of following me all the way through high school into college with that. But I think the really cool thing about engineering, and with TBP especially, you meet so many people with so many different backgrounds. I'm going to go pretty much exactly contradictory to Zach in some way. I'm the only one in my family to do anything technical or engineering related. Everybody else has been in generations of the automotive world and all of that, being in Michigan. And it really couldn't be less precedented for somebody to go into engineering or any kind of STEM field in my family. So I think it's really fun that I have gotten to talk to so many people with a wide variety of backgrounds. I knew I liked engineering right from having that same kind of level of curiosity about the world around me with all of the math and science, things like that. And it's undeniable the bio phase is a real thing. There's something that's naturally fulfilling about seeing human problems, especially with health and medicine and all of that, and seeing who solves those problems. And that's kind of the bio world. So chemical engineering is not all that far from that. Tony, as a chemie major also, in pretty much all my classes follow me around all day. You've definitely seen the applications of how chemie in particular makes people's lives better. You can do so many things, whether it's the food industry, even cosmetics, especially medicine. Having gone into a little bit of research with pharmaceuticals and all of that, I definitely know that chemie can have a very big impact on people's lives in making it better. And to me, there's really nothing more rewarding than being able to see the impact of your work on somebody else. So engineering definitely is, especially at Michigan, a people-focused discipline, a people-focused degree.
Agreed.
And when you are able to go and see the impact on people, whether that's through the work you do, service, through organizations that are especially fulfilling like TBP, that is really, it's all reaffirming to me that this is the place I need to end up, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. I think being here is, it's obviously you have to go to classes and stuff, but UMich has a lot of like groups that like student groups you can join, and that I feel like those really shape you to be the person that you are when you graduate, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely a misconception that inside the classroom is where the learning happens.
Exactly.
I think it's quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Probably learned about 20% of what I've really taken away from the University of Michigan inside the classroom. But it's all about the opportunities that I've been able to have outside of the classroom. And you can't just do that anywhere, though. The University of Michigan has still played a big role in that by providing that platform.
Exactly. Like, no one's going to graduate and then they're going to know what fugacity is even after they graduate. Fugacity is a chemical engineering specific term that no one likes. For those of you who do not know. All right.
It was just my grandparents that were in the STEM field. Everyone else literally not directly in STEM at all.
Okay.
My dad is literally a wealth manager, so.
All right, Ansh.
Awesome. All right. I'll probably end up echoing a lot of what these guys said, but I'll start with a little bit about my background. So, unlike these two, both of my parents are in the STEM field. My dad's an engineer, and my mom works in the hospital. So she works in the healthcare field. My dad works as an engineer. Both STEM, very different sides of STEM, I'd say. My dad works as a software engineer, and my mom works in healthcare. So very, I've seen both sides, and I'll echo that again. The bio phase, it's real. I thought about it, and then I was like, no, too much work. So I ended up in engineering, and rude awakening. Engineering is just as much work. So
Yeah.
it's a tough time. But like I said earlier, I'm in industrial and operations engineering. I guess the path it took to get me here was very weird. For the first 12 or so years of my life, probably, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was always kind of my dream, if I go up to space,
Yep.
that'd be sweet. I was like, oh, if I ever go up to space, I'm going to take some pictures, bring them back, show my family. But eventually I came to the realization that I didn't actually want to be an astronaut, and I'd rather be an engineer. And who knows, maybe one day that I'll still end up being an astronaut as an engineer. For now, I decided to go into IOE initially because I wanted to do some more work with like math and modeling, mostly like in the financial side, financial engineering. Kind of shifted a little bit away from that once I came here and got my first real introduction to like programming. Learned a few programming languages, and now I'm more interested in data analytics and specifically things like machine learning. So that's kind of what I'm more interested in now. So very interesting trajectory, of course, but we're here now. So.
I will add, reason I left bio. You guys know the movie Super Size Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
5th grade. Never want to do medicine.
Never mind bio. Yeah, no.
Fair enough.
For me, I took a biochem class here, thinking that I was gonna go into pharma, and there wasn't a single lecture that I didn't fall asleep in, and then I dropped out of the class before the first exam because I was like, you know what, if I'm falling asleep in every class, then it's probably not for me.
That's dope. I like when there's a strong indicator that you definitely know what you don't want to do or you do want to do. Either way, it helps to have that strong vision.
So yeah, that was the end of my bio phase. Now I'm much more interested in like power and like electricity and that kind of stuff. So
Nice.
as a chemical engineer, it's weird. Yeah, but we can pretty much. Chemical engineering is very what do you call it? Very versatile, I guess. So
That's what I love about it most.
It really is. All right, so I noticed you guys talked about your family. So I guess I'll start with this one. So it's interesting because like how a lot of different people with different backgrounds can all go into engineering. Because I know my parents, neither of them. So my parents are restaurant owners. They own and operate a restaurant, and my mom didn't go to high school, and my dad went to high school, but he didn't graduate. He didn't go to college. So, it's really interesting how like my background is so different from any of your other guys' backgrounds, but we all chose to be engineers because we all had something that I guess that we wanted to change about the world. And like I guess that aspiration starts when you're little, like as An said, like the astronaut thing, like like every kid wants to like go outside and see everything. And like I guess for me it was I want to bring home rocks from the moon. But the reason why I went into engineering is just because like I don't really want to just be along for the ride as the world changes. I want to be someone who participates in that, and I really want to like share my ideas with how can we make this better, how can we make
Well, that's engineering. I mean, that's the way I describe it to kids when I'm teaching them about physics and engineering at the Egg Drop at Cub Scouts Day through TBP. What I start with is we have a problem, kids, and we have a kind of systematic approach that we're going to take to solve it. We're going to think about the design we want to make in order to solve a problem. That's engineering. That's exactly how I introduce it, and that stays true. That core idea of I have a problem, and I want to be the one to build the solution and drive that forward. That never really goes away, and that's what I think I do really enjoy about this field.
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, right? But I know a lot of people have said this before, but like engineering is not really a discipline. It's more of a way of mind and a way of thinking. And that, exactly what Riley said, it really embodies that. I know most Michigan engineers here, like we all embody that.
And again, going back to the Cub Scouts Day, it's really like nice having these kids like it's likely that they're going to remember exactly what they did that day. And like something else I wanted to ask, like, was there any specific events in your life that like changed the way you thought and like made you want to pursue engineering, or was it just something?
That's a little difficult.
Yeah.
I don't remember one specific event in mind. I think it was just kind of all the activities and the culture I grew up around that brought me in. It mentioned robotics. A lot of people in Michigan CS and even across all of engineering did some sort of first robotics or VEX Square One, I think, was another robotics thing, a few other ones. And a lot of the people, they just develop memories. They sort of build like the basic skills necessary for engineering in general, like how you think. It's the state of mind. And yeah, that's sort of how it came, at least about for me. It's hard to pinpoint like a specific event. It was just sort of a culmination of the environment I grew up around, the things I did, and me realizing that, hey, you really do enjoy this. Why not make a career out of it? I remember my parents or even family kind of saying, "Oh, you're good at math. You could be." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's interesting, but not really for me." There's a lot of mathematical basis for that, but I want to be able to do more designing. I want to, as Riley and Anj were saying, they want to create design that benefits the world. I want to create designs that help benefit, the world themselves. Design fault-tolerant systems that are able to, whether it be for healthcare, financial systems, or just the betterment of increasing access anywhere. That's the sort of stuff I want to design.
Mm-hmm. All right.
If I had to pinpoint one factor, Tony, to answer your question, I'd say probably teachers are one factor that can be often overlooked. They can really extinguish a kid's passion for a subject, or they can build it really to a level they never thought imaginable. I think everything that I really care about to this day, at some point I can identify a time where some teacher may be passionate about it. It's not something I independently stumbled upon really ever. You don't usually walk into a love for these subjects without somebody showing you that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've had amazing mentors that I've been lucky to have throughout even elementary school, middle school, and of course your high school teachers. People remember,
Yes, agreed.
probably just because of recency, but you can really think back and think about when the first time you got exposed to some new idea was, and we often have teachers to thank for that. So I think that's where a lot of my passion for teaching myself comes in these days, and then also just appreciation for the fact that's built up that foundation for me.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, this is going to be a byproduct of me going last, but I'm going to echo what these two have been saying, too, that I like the teacher thing, and I'd go so far as to say it's not just school teachers, right? It's just anyone in your life who has served as a role model. I know pretty much all of us growing up as kids, there were parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents, whatever, who would come home, talk about their work. People, as kids, we would find that when whatever they were doing was really cool, and that really just does inspire more than anyone can really realize until they're in our shoes at this stage in our lives. So there's that for sure. And then I'll say, similar to what Zach said, robotics was a big thing for me. I wasn't sure that I wanted to go into engineering until I went into freshman year of high school, joined robotics, and really dived into that rabbit hole. So 4 years of that, and I was like, yep, this is I'm going into engineering school for sure. So lots of little factors that fed into it, but I'd say that was a big one.
All right, great input. All right. So before we end off today, I want to ask one final question, and that is, what do you guys think is or are the most pressing issues in engineering today, or even just at the University of Michigan? Like in your opinion, what are some things that you think are problems and things that you would want to change right now?
I can give a couple answers, and I'll try and be quick about it. So, at least across the world, I think the most important ones are obviously climate change, and that's pretty self-explanatory to pretty much anyone. And of course, one of the ones that I don't think it's talked about enough is just accessibility to technology and engineering in general. As a first, being the United States, first world country, other first world countries, we have, problems that are fairly unique. They are mostly quality of life for the most part. Obviously, there's systemic issues with the country and other issues that we can improve upon. But if we look at other countries around the world, ones that are less developed and third world countries, there's a lack of just access to technology. And obviously, there's being an effort made towards that. But I think we can strengthen that and strengthen the actual magnitude, actually magnify the issues that are going on, and show the world this is actually a fault that's going on. At least at Michigan, there's obviously talks about how, DEI is run within Michigan engineering, some of the administrative policies. I think one of the more interesting ones, especially specific to my major, is just enrollment in general. the whole thing is everyone wants to do computer science, but as demand increases, supply can only increase or reach some sort of capacity. I mean, even here, we're building a whole new computing building that's literally going to be built and finished in a year or two. Even then, who knows? We've obviously started making policies that are trying to cap the number of people at the school. I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's it's definitely a pressing issue for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Really?
so I'll go down a little bit of a different path to try to show some new perspectives, I guess. I think engineering, one of the biggest issues that we face right now is the way we view ourselves. Specifically, what do we expect out of ourselves as engineers? What do we think we offer to the world? It's kind of our sales pitch. And this has been brought to light recently by AI, and maybe, of course, it's best embodied by ChatGPT and all of this coming up in prevalence. Of course, it's a popular topic in 2023. How could we not mention it on the inaugural podcast? But I think what we expect from ourselves as engineers should be to provide a unique way of thinking. Not necessarily a solution to a problem, or not necessarily the ability to have technical knowledge that can be easily replicated. What makes us uniquely us? What makes us uniquely an engineer? Uniquely human? It's the ability to approach a problem that would intimidate many others, and to find a way to disambiguate that problem, break it down, and reach a solution in a logical way. It's a whole way of being able to find our way through these tricky situations in engineering. That's what we really offer. That's what we should be kind of playing up to when we sell our profession, our majors, to other people. So, as engineers, that's a responsibility that I think I really take upon myself, and I think we should take upon ourselves quite heavily. And I think over time it's going to be even more well-defined what an engineer really means to the world, especially as some things get easier for the public to have access to, and we become... there exists the necessity to innovate what we do as a profession and what we have to offer to the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Teaching in that era has been difficult. I've been on the teaching staff for a couple courses now, and it is challenging. How do I actually get information across and make sure my students have learned? But that's the unique thing in engineering. You give them problems that force them to use a little bit more logic, a bit more reasoning in the way they approach it. And that's what engineering is all about. Taking a complicated situation, breaking it down, and then getting something useful out of it. I don't think, at least not anytime soon, AI will be able to figure out how to do something to that extent.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll go, yet another direction with this. I think one of the bigger issues facing the engineering community as a whole, globally, is kind of these blurring lines ethically. And I'm learning a lot about that specifically right now. I'm taking a complex system failures course where we're doing case studies on, a lot of accidents that have happened, plane crashes, car crashes with, Tesla and all sorts of things. And all of those have a couple things in common, and most of the time it's engineers kind of making concessions saying, oh, it's okay, we'll gloss over this, not, it won't be a big issue, and what do you know, down the line, lives are lost, things happen. And I think it just goes back to that, engineers really need to remember, how big of a role they play in all of these systems that are, all of these things that are being put out into the world that people interact with, and the potential harm that they could cause. And that's a big thing for us to think about going forward as engineers when we're designing new products. And, it's just a really important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, very well spoken. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, at least in chemie, where a lot of us go on to work at plants and stuff where a lot of accidents can happen. We've had a lot of lessons, just yo, this reactor blew up because this person did A and B wrong.
It's often said that bad day in chemical engineering is when your workplace registers in the Richter scale. It's a real issue with us, and it's a responsibility we have to the world around us and the communities around us.
Yeah, and obviously as education gets better, people get better at safety. My current professor right now, one of them, she was talking about how this rather older guy at a place she used to work would dip his bare hands into chemicals essentially, and obviously that's given his age, I guess the education back then wasn't as good surrounding that stuff, but I'm really happy that nowadays it's safety is way more emphasized, and it's really important. So yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I am going to call it time right now. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks to Zach, Riley, and Anshigan for taking time out of the week